Hello, everybody. I'd like to call to order the May 13th, 2025 regular town council meeting. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. And Daniel, will you lead us?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty.
Come on up, Daniel. Right. I'll read off the copy. How is everybody doing today? It's a big day for proclamations and another proclamation for one of our Eagle Scouts. I don't know how many we've done for you already, probably a record. And you have what, 61 merit badges? 61 merit badges and still going. The record's going to be broken right here, folks. Whereas the Scouts, Boy Scouts of America, train the youth of our community with skills which serve them well in the future. And whereas many of our youth participate in activities such as the Boy Scouts of America, which benefit our community. And whereas one of the crowning achievements of scouting is the attainment of the rank of Eagle Scout. And whereas Daniel Germano, Troop 170, completed the requirements of Eagle Scout. And whereas Daniel Germano used his Eagle Scout project to install 8 benches in the Unionville gazebo, 3 benches in Maple Village gazebo, 2 little free libraries with murals painted on them depicting scenes of Unionville's past, which were painted by a Pennsylvania artist. In addition, a garden was planted around the gazebo in honor of Farmington's veterans and for visitors to enjoy for years to come. And whereas Daniel Germano's project involved planning, designing, securing permits, and installing the benches in the little small libraries. And whereas Daniel is a sophomore at Farmington High School and is a member of the swim team, volunteers his time at the Knights of Columbus, Our Lady of Knock Parish, Scouting for Food, Farmington Cleanup Day, and many other worthy causes. And whereas a result, Daniel Germano's project of installing the little small libraries, gazebo benches, and the gardening honoring Farmington veterans, the lives of the residents of Farmington will be enriched and enhanced for years to come. Now, therefore, be it resolved, on behalf of the Farmington Town Council, we hereby extend Daniel Germano our best wishes and hereby proclaim May 13th as Daniel Germano Day here at Farmington, Connecticut, dated here, Farmington, Connecticut, by Joe Capofero, Town Council Chair. So thank you. No, you're good. Our second proclamation, please. W. Brian.
Okay. Whereas May 14th marks Childhood Apraxia of Speech Day, during which awareness will be raised throughout Connecticut about childhood apraxia of speech, an extremely challenging speech disorder that affects 1 in 1,000 children. And whereas childhood apraxia of speech, known as CAS, causes children to have significant difficulty learning to speak and is among the most severe speech deficits in children. And whereas the act of learning to speak comes effortlessly to most children, those with apraxia require early, appropriate, and intensive speech therapy, often for many years, to learn to speak. And whereas without appropriate speech therapy intervention, children with apraxia will have diminished communication skills, but are also placed at high risk for secondary impact in reading, writing, spelling, and other school-related skills. And whereas that such primary and secondary impacts diminishes future independence and employment opportunities, and challenge the ability to become productive, contributing citizens if not resolved or improved. And whereas public awareness about childhood apraxia of speech in Connecticut is essential for families of children with a neurological disorder and the professionals who support them to achieve the needed services for those learning to use their own voice. And whereas our highest respect goes to these children, as well as their families, for their effort, determination, and resilience in the face of such obstacles. And let it be resolved, this May 14th is Apraxia Awareness Day, and that citizens of Connecticut and surrounds are encouraged to work within their communities to increase awareness and understanding of childhood apraxia of speech. Dated at Farmington, Connecticut, this 13th day of May 2025. Joe Capodefero, Chair.
Thank you very much, Brian. The next proclamation, number 3, please.
Whereas the first Friday in June is declared as National Gun Violence Awareness Day to honor and remember all victims and survivors of gun violence, and to declare that we as a country must do more to reduce gun violence. And whereas every day more than 100 Americans are killed by gun violence and are 25 times more likely to die by gun homicide than people in other high-income countries. Whereas support for the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens goes hand in hand with keeping guns away from people with dangerous histories. And whereas in January 2013, Hadia Pendleton, a teenager who marched in the presidential inaugural parade and was tragically shot and killed just weeks later. And whereas to help honor Hadia and the more than 100 Americans whose lives are cut short daily and the countless survivors who are injured by shootings, a national coalition of organizations has designated June 6, 2025, the first Friday in June, as the 11th National Gun Violence Awareness Day. And whereas the idea was inspired by a group of Hadia's friends who asked their classmates to commemorate her life by wearing orange, a color chosen because hunters wear orange to announce themselves to other hunters in the woods, and orange symbolizes the value of human life. And whereas by wearing orange on June 6th, Americans will raise awareness about gun violence and honor the lives and lost human potential of Americans stolen by gun violence. And whereas we renew our commitment to reduce gun violence and pledge to all, we can keep firearms out of the wrong hands and encourage responsible gun ownership to help keep our children safe. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Farmington Town Council declares the first Friday in June, June 6th, 2025, to be National Gun Violence Awareness Day, and encourages all citizens to support their local community's efforts to prevent the tragic effects of gun violence and to honor and value human lives. Dated this 13th day of May, 2025 at Farmington, Connecticut. Joe Capodefero, Chair, Farmington Town.
Yes.
Hand it over. Whereas Hope Partners of Farmington, formerly known as Services for the Elderly of Farmington, has been dedicated to supporting seniors and individuals with disabilities since 1965. And whereas Hope was founded by Hope Emery and Dorothy Sinclair and continues to honor their legacy by providing essential services that foster independence and community connections. And whereas Hope Partners of Farmington thrives on partnerships, volunteers, and community collaborations to provide vital support services, including Meals on Wheels, congregate lunch, medical equipment loans, medical transportation, and friendly shopping. And whereas the acronym HOPE stands for Helping Others Prosper Every Day, reflecting the organization's commitment to preserving dignity and safety for seniors and individuals with disabilities. And whereas Hope has positively impacted countless lives through its dedication to community service and support for the homebound. And whereas Hope Partners of Farmington is celebrating its 60th anniversary, marking 6 decades of unwavering service and support to the community. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that we congratulate Hope Partners of Farmington for their positive contributions to the town of Farmington and for celebrating 60 successful years of community service. Dated the 16th day of May, 2025 at Farmington, Connecticut, Joe Capitafaro, Town Council Chair. And we have Tony and Dean from
Dean, we figured since you weren't going to be here, we'll give you one up now. Now, I need that back for Friday, so don't go too far with that.
Okay. Whereas amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, also commonly known as Lou Gehrig's disease, is a devastating fatal neurodegenerative disease in which a person's brain loses connection with their muscles, slowly reducing a person's ability to walk, talk, eat, and eventually breathe. And whereas thousands of new ALS cases are reported every year, and estimates show that every 90 minutes, someone is diagnosed with ALS and someone passes away from ALS. And whereas, on average, patients diagnosed with ALS survive 2 to 5 years from the time of diagnosis to the exact causes of ALS are unknown and there is no known cure. And whereas those who have served in the military are more likely to develop ALS and die from the disease than those with no history of military service. And whereas clinical trials play a pivotal role in evaluating new treatments, enhancing quality of life, and fostering assistive technologies for those living with ALS. And whereas the ALS Association is the largest philanthropic funder of ALS research globally and has committed more than $154 million to support more than 550 projects across the United States and 18 other countries, and is committed to accelerating the pace of discovery, fueled by the hope that one day ALS will be a livable disease until a cure can be found. And whereas ALS Awareness Month provides an opportunity to increase public awareness of the impact of this disease on those individuals living with ALS and to support research being done to one day eradicate this disease. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the Farmington Town Council do hereby proclaim the month of May 2025 as ALS Awareness Month and call on all Farmington residents to join in supporting ALS research, advocate for increased research funding, and stand in solidarity with those affected by ALS. Dated this 13th day of May 2025 at Farmington, Connecticut. Joe Capitafaro, Chair, Farmington Town Council.
Thank you, Andy.
Whereas the month of June is recognized internationally as Pride Month to commemorate the Stonewall riots of June 1969, where people fought in the LGBTQ+ community in New York City, courageously fought back against harassment and discrimination. And whereas the town of Farmington cherishes the value and dignity of each person and understands the importance of equality and freedom. And whereas Farmington denounces prejudice and discrimination based on age, gender identity, gender expression, race, color, religion, marital status, national origin, sexual orientation, or physical disability. And whereas the town of Farmington believes that a diverse population leads to a more vibrant community and appreciates the cultural, civic, and economic contributions of the LGBTQ+ community. And whereas the town of Farmington believes that every human being has the right to live their life openly as who they are. All are welcome in Farmington to live, work, play, and prosper. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Farmington Town Council hereby proclaims June 2025 as LGBTQ+ Pride Month in the town of Farmington. And we call upon our community to recognize the contributions made by the LGBTQ+ community and actively promote the principles of equality, liberty, and justice. Dated this 13th day of May, 2025 at Farmington, Connecticut, signed Joe Capitafaro, Chair, Farmington Town Council.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll move on to D, public hearing. We don't have none. E is no new items, so I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. We are going to be adding N6 to the agenda. Everything else will remain the same, correct?
Yeah, everything else will remain the same. And just to let you know, we've moved N3 to N7, and that has to do with the change of the date. So we had to change the public hearing date on the item. So the cover page is correct. We'll work off that. The backup is correct. You just need to move it around.
All right. Do we need a motion to carry it through or?
Yep, motion to add the item.
One second, Deb.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions about it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right. F, public comment. Anybody inside the town council would like to come in and give public comment? You have 5 minutes. Please come up to the podium, state your name and address.
Tim Kelly, 62 Westview. Good evening. For those of you who've been too busy today, there was a great economic announcement. The CPI inflation rate now has ticked down to 2.3%. It ticked down to 2.4% last month, so it feels like we might be heading in the right direction, and I take no credit for that. I did want to make a couple observations on the recent budget referendum that we held on May 1st. First of all, we always like to benchmark ourselves against others to see how well we're doing, so as not to work in a vacuum. The most similar town to us right here in the Farmington Valley is Simsbury. Basically the same size, number of pupils, identical number of school buildings, similar demographics, etc. Their town operation budget increase was 2.5%. Farmington's is 4%. Their school system budget increase was 3.5%. Farmington is 4.6%. In Farmington, less than 5% of voters participate in the referendum. Maybe a record low? I don't know. So I guess we have an obvious cost-saving opportunity. Rather than man a bunch of polling sites, we should consolidate and in the future just have the referendum vote on Monteith Drive or at the Senior Community Center on New Britain Avenue in the future. Here in Farmington, less than 3% of potential voters actually support our new budget and tax increase. So 90% voted with their feet to actively or passively not support it. Kind of reminds me of that old country love song, "Honey, if the phone don't ring, you'll know it's me." Not too many country fans out here, I guess. Well, anyway, it begs the question, where did the almost 600 supporters come from? You could feel some positive vibe in our town and school facilities, although not much out in neighborhoods, community events, athletic fields, etc. It becomes interesting when you start to get underneath the numbers. There are about 250 town and school employees who do reside here in Farmington and Unionville. When you add 250 like-minded spouses, partners, 18-year-old children, whatever, it yields a voting block of 500. That's a pretty dependable cadre, given they are voting for their own job and pay increase. There's another unique group in Farmington, and I'm sure we all know a few. They're loyal soldiers and wonderful people who always come out to vote yes. Kind of like supporting the home team, even if they stink this year. It's a somewhat dwindling herd, but I estimate they're about 10th precinct. Now, there's one large segment of potential voters that I haven't mentioned. That is the 4,000 unencumbered parents, guardians of our school-aged children. But when you subtract from 600 yes votes, the resident employees and the loyal dogs, it means that at most, only 1% of school parents voted to ratify your budget. The majority of which, of course, goes to Farmington schools. It's hard to reconcile this with all the hand-wringing during March meetings with superintendent, Board of Ed, et cetera. Apparently what we have recently passed is what I would call a system budget. It was designed, proposed, and defended by the leaders of our local government and school system, supported primarily, 85% of votes, by people who are local employees who work in the system. Perhaps something to consider as you go forward in the role of financial stewards for Farmington. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Anybody else inside would like to give public comment?
Hi, my name's Laura Pickett. I live at 400 Main Street. I will be brief. I'm here because the Tinty Barn is adjacent to our property. We own the old house in which the barn used to be part of. It was a dairy barn. Our house is almost 300 years old, and the barn is probably at least 150 years old. Since we've been here for 15 years, we've gradually been watching it decay. And I would like to make a plug for the value of preserving Farmington's history. It's what people see when they first come from Plainville down Main Street as the entry point into Farmington. And the situation for the barn is pretty urgent. It might even be more urgent than the last time somebody had come out to look at it. I have some pictures that show part of the ceiling has come down and two big panels have come off the side, so the elements are coming in. So I'm hoping that the town will value the barn as we do. I also don't want to see it falling apart slowly. I don't think anybody does. And I'm hoping that it can be preserved. Otherwise, we've got a pressing issue to decide whether, price of demolition, I'm sure, is not cheap either. So I'm really hoping that this passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else inside would like to give public comment? And for anybody following at home, the Tinty Barn is agenda N3 also. Anybody online?
We do have someone with their hands raised.
All right.
Jay Tulin.
Hello, Jay.
Hello there. Can you guys hear me okay?
We hear you loud and clear, Jay.
Okay. I haven't spoken with you in a while, but I just have a couple of points of some observations that I'd like to make. I think that I had mentioned this some time ago, but I just wanted to let you know if you didn't, May is Jewish American Heritage Month. And I have a couple of things that I've been working on that I just wanted to make you aware of. I will say that I'm very proud of the fact that during my time as chair of the Human Relations Commission, as you guys know, we worked with vetting a number of different things that I'm very proud to say I had a part in as the chair. However, a lot of organizations and communities have been endorsing and having events about having to do with the proclamation, which I have actually put together a proclamation and had tried to get that vetted with the Human Relations Commission, but I don't think they had a quorum at the last meeting, so I wasn't able to do that. I'd like to see if there's a way, even though I know that the process is a little bit different, I'd like to see if there's a way to still get a proclamation that I've put together based on proclamations in other communities in Connecticut and organizations in Connecticut to be considered. May is halfway done, so I don't know if that's possible, but that's point number one. I also will say that the state legislature Representative D'Amico put together a citation recognizing Jewish American Heritage Month. So I think it's a real important thing. The other thing is, and again, I think I did mention this at some point in time, but I put together what I believe is a very good agenda of what I consider very significant Jewish heritage in this town. And I've been talking with Jay from the Farmington Historical Society about the potential of them co-sponsoring and hopefully hosting something. May is almost over. I know they're just moving into a new facility, which I think would be a perfect place to have this event. It probably won't be till the fall. I'm going to be meeting with Jay again, hopefully in the next week or so, to kind of get an idea of when that might be possible. I'm very excited about the plan, and I'm hoping that, you know, we can still do something in regards to a proclamation recognizing Jewish American Heritage Month, and absolutely the program that I have in mind that will hopefully educate the public about a very significant Jewish history that people may or may not be aware of. So I just wanted to make those 2 points, and as always, I appreciate the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
Anybody else online?
There are no other hands raised.
Okay. Then we will close out public comment. We'll go to G, please.
Make a motion to accept the minutes for the April 7th, 2025 regular town council meeting.
Second.
Motion second. Anything need to be corrected or amended? Then all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. H, we don't have any. We'll move to reports of committees. 1928 Building Committee. May and April have been very busy up to the 1928 building, and April itself during the month, as some of you saw, exterior windows were removed. Temporary plywood was over the openings along with some plastic. Demo work has been starting on the concrete slabs. Layouts for the first and third floor have begun. They've been drywalling. The third floor did pass a rough framing and insulation and rough electrical inspections. And during the month of May, we have more drywall completed and going on. Site work layout for the new addition that's going to happen. Underpinning and placed concrete for footings for the new addition also. And the first and second floor installation inspections will be occurring along with the electrical rough-in inspections. It's pretty fun times up there. We'll move over to the Fire Station Committee, please.
So the Ad hoc Fire Station Committee met again today. We met at the end of March, and in our March meeting, what we decided to do was the firehouse scope of work has been kind of knocking around for about a decade, and we had some numbers back in 2023 that we wanted to see get updated, which we received the numbers today. They were updated, and I think part of the discussion right now in the committee is there's other things that the fire chiefs want to accomplish within their buildings that isn't part of any of these costs. And so looking at that, what we've decided is to have a meeting with the legislative delegation up in Connecticut, you know, whether it be a Zoom meeting, in-person meeting, because the budget's coming to a head at the beginning of June, and then they basically then begin to negotiate the bond bill for the following year. And it'd be nice if we could negotiate our legislative delegation to maybe arrive at some monies and grant to aid to Farmington for these three firehouses. You know, there was an article in the Current just the other day that talked about how a lot of the volunteer fire companies in many towns are at 60%. They've lost like 68% of their members. We luckily in Farmington don't have that issue just yet. And so I think it would be something that I think we can talk to our legislative body and bring forward, that we have a robust volunteer system. We're an important system, whether it's covering accidents on 84, on Route 10, Route 4, West Farms Mall, the portfolio of calls is pretty large and it's pretty technical. So that's kind of what we've decided upon. And then I think, we've instructed Kathy, town manager, to get a hold of them and set that up. And I think Amy and I look forward to that audience, and then we'll see what we can do from there.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Sidewalk Committee.
Sidewalk Committee met first week of May. And we're going to be meeting again the first week of June, the 3rd at 5:30. We continue to kind of unpeel the onion that is the sidewalk ordinances and future plans. We saw a great presentation that was put together by town staff. Town staff's been doing a tremendous amount of work behind the scenes, gathering information, reviewing ordinances. We have, I think, an intern now that's inspecting sidewalks, in addition to mine and Brian's own novice sidewalk inspection that we've been doing. It's a lot of behind the scenes work, and we continue to have discussions about what we believe the public would want to see in a presentation so that we can get, the best temperature of the town on what the town would like to see going forward for sidewalks. So a lot of work still to go, but we're chipping away. Anything I missed, Brian?
Got it all. Thank you.
Count your steps.
That's it.
High School Building Committee.
At our last meeting, we were able to take a tour of the central office, and it was coming along quite beautifully. We expect now that the CO for central office will be, as anticipated, by the end of May. The tennis courts are done, so that's good. And then the last thing is, the furniture was delivered last week for central office. That's it.
All right, thank you. I believe that was the last one on that. All right, for I. So we'll go over to J. Report of the chair. Got a couple of things to announce. This Sunday is the spring family breakfast at Tunx's Hose Fire Department from 7:30 to 11:30. Hope to see everybody there supporting our fire department. Also, on Sunday, it's the 16th annual Farmington River 5K Run Trail Race, which will be held at Winding Trails from 10 to 11:30. If you're looking to still sign up, you can go to Explore Farmington and find the actual link to do so. Tomorrow from 7:30 p.m. on Zoom, there'll be a Peace at Home expert to learn how to discuss the boundaries of online exploration and the risks, and that's for parenting tweens and teens. So hopefully, if anybody has any interest, you can go online for that. On May 18th, we have the Holy Family Monastery is going to be hosting the Sal Domaro Italian Sunday dinner. So Farmington Unico. 303 Tunxus Road, adults $20, children 6 to 12 are $5, and under 5 years is free. And let's see, last but not least, in June 21st, the Luke Rue Foundation will be having the wiffle ball tournament. It'll be at the Little League Fields. Check-in is at 8:30, games start at 9 a.m. It's a $150 registration fee, up to 6 players per team, ages 17 and older. And you need to register by June 4th. It's at the lukerue.com/tournament site. We'll finish with that, and I'll go over to the Board of Education liaison, please.
Thanks, Joe. Board of Ed has met twice since the last town council meeting on April 8th and then last night. At the April 8th meeting, the CABE search firm presented a leadership profile as part of the superintendent search, and the superintendent search committee continues their process of interviewing and vetting superintendents. Also on that note, Kathy Greer's retirement party, everyone should have received their invitation. It's next Friday. I will be unavailable to attend, but if you can. And the Board of Ed, there's ongoing work for the elementary enrollment changes, the transition for certain addresses from East Farms to Noah Wallace for next year, as well as moving the preschool from Noah Wallace to Westwoods. So they're making some changes at Westwoods in certain areas, including installing a playscape that's more appropriately sized for preschool and updating some of the restrooms as well for preschool kids. Last night I was unable to attend as I had a family commitment, but they did recognize the IAR, Connecticut Association of Schools Scholars, as well as educators in Farmington who have 25 years of education. And the next meeting is June 2nd, and that will be the last meeting of this school year.
Thank you very much. Conservation and Inland Wetlands.
Conservation Inland Wetlands has also met twice since our last town council meeting. It's been a little easy, a little more low-key lately. But on April 16th, the Inland Wetlands Commission set a public hearing for May 21st regarding the Farmington Land Trust proposed fishing pier reconstruction and to build an elevated boardwalk and a viewing platform. So along the rails to trails, there's been a concrete dock for people to fish at, and that's been in disarray for the past couple of years and inaccessible. So they're working, the Land Trust is working through the process of rebuilding that and going through the process with Inland Wetlands, and that hearing is May 21st. Additionally, at the meeting last week on May 7th, another Farmington Land Trust event matter came up. They are working with the Memorial Forest to construct a connector trail between the Land Trust property at the Wilcox Bushley Homestead and the Memorial Forest, basically to combine the two trails, and you'll have a longer trail than what's currently at either property. The Inland Wetlands Commission considered that and approved it as a non-regulated use, so that should be moving forward. The next meeting will be May 21st.
Thank you very much. EDC.
Yes. The EDC announced that they were going to be having their next business breakfast meeting on Thursday, May 29th. And the keynote speaker is going to be Chris DePentima, President and CEO of CBIA, and that's held at the Farmington Polo Grounds. The EDC has also been working on the Cultural District's first initiative, which is going to be a live art walk, and that takes place on May 31st. There are more details on Explore Farmington for that. And they also hosted a cybersecurity workshop with Constep on May 7th. And that was a great event for manufacturers who have Department of Defense contracts and must receive a special certification by 2026. It was held at the Town Hall Pavilion. They had 25 attendees and over 30 attendees via Zoom. They are planning to host another cybersecurity workshop later this year. And you can find all that information on the Economic Developers Report for April that was included in the EDC information. That's it.
Thank you. TPZ.
Town Planning and Zoning had their first May meeting last night. It was kind of a short calendar, but one item on there was, again, there's been a popular trend of people putting kind of small businesses in their homes. And again, there was another one approved last night. And then in addition to that, the meeting before the last meeting in April, there was a proposal for a text amendment to allow on some of the properties that are zoned on Garden Street, maybe another accessory structure in the back that could be an apartment, maybe another single or two family. They're deep lots. That public hearing is coming up the next meeting, which would be 2 weeks from last night. So other than that, that's pretty much what's been going on in Town Planning and Zoning. One thing that was discussed was obviously the gas station development up at Five Corners at Finneman and Scott Swamp Road, Route 6. And obviously, there's been some work done there. The demolition's been done. It seems like the developer is probably pursuing some approvals with the state of Connecticut because they want to change some curb cuts and things like that. So it's probably in a little kind of holding, not a holding pattern. It's progressing, but it's not progressing per se in construction right now. But those things should get ironed out, and then it'll move from that point forward.
Thank you for the update.
Mhm.
And that's for Jay, so we'll move over to Kay, the report of the town manager.
You have the report in front of you, but a couple of things. The Memorial Day Parade will take place on Monday, May 26th. The parade will form at 9:30 a.m. at the corner of New Britain Avenue and South Main Street in Unionville, and step off will be at 10 a.m. So that is happening for Memorial Day. The Cultural District Artist Agreement, I thought this may have be of interest, is that the Farmington Cultural Advisory Committee has partnered with local artist Sarah May to create 2 artistic renderings of the newly designed cultural districts. These maps were printed and distributed during the state's official press event announcing the district's designation. The artwork received an enthusiastic response, with many attendees expressing interest in obtaining framed copies. In response, Sarah May has generously offered to sell the prints through our company's website and donate 3% of the net proceeds back to the town of Farmington. And these funds will support future activities of programming with the cultural district. And there's a couple of copies not in your packet, so people really like them. We had the cleanup day on April 26th, the annual one, and the Green Efforts Committee held that. We did have some not so great weather, but we did have around 40 residents and businesses and participated in collecting over 1,600 pounds of trash. And the committee again partnered with the Unionville Lions Club to collect and recycle bottles and cans collected during the event. And just a community and supportive services update. And again, one of our major goals for the Community and Supportive Services Department is to increase increase information on services, programs, and support for our residents. For example, at the Senior Center, our staff has provided a wide variety of information-based services and programs, from income tax and Medicare assistance to wellness classes. And currently, one of the youth service programs is focusing on parenting support, and I think, Joe, you mentioned that in your report. And lastly, Juneteenth. This year's Celebrate Freedom Juneteenth event will take place on June 14th from 1 to 5 p.m. at the Simsbury Meadows Performing Arts Center. This is the 3rd year that Avon, Canton, Farmington, Granby, and Simsbury have come together to celebrate as a united community. So we welcome all our Farmington residents and the council to join in on June 14th.
Awesome.
And that is it.
Thank you. And thank you, Sarah May, for donating 30% of your proceeds back to us. That is awesome. She's a lifelong resident, grew up with her and her family here. So it's nice to see people taking so much pride in the community. And thank you to everybody for showing up on April 26th. I know, Keith, you had everybody out there for cleanup day, and they weathered the rain standing out there.
It was quite rainy. Yes.
Doing everything they could. So
We
hopefully
came in
next year we
waves.
get a nicer day.
Yes.
Can I get a motion, please?
Make a motion to accept the town manager's report.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We'll move over to L, appointments.
We have an appointment on L2, Conservation and Inland Wetlands Commission, for the alternate. We are nominating Alana Carwith. A little bit about Alana: she grew up in Farmington before starting her academic journey in environmental sciences, earning a degree in ecology from CCSU and 2 master's degree in environmental science from Hood College and Antioch University, respectively. Her professional background includes working as a research assistant at the Center for Coastal and Watershed Studies in Frederick, Maryland, and as the land stewardship coordinator at the Hilltown Land Trust in Conway, Mass. She has a wealth of experience working alongside stakeholders, state agencies, and conservation commissions, and is eager to apply her background to the mission of the Farmington Inland Wetlands Commission.
Was there a motion?
That's a motion.
I didn't even say motion. I'll second it.
You have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
We have a second a motion, and that would be for the Human Relations Commission. And that would be for Dorothy Ravelli. A little bit about Dorothy. Resident of Farmington since 1987, taught French and Italian in Bristol for 35 years, established exchange programs with France and Italy to foster cultural and linguistic development. These programs have been in place for 20 years and continue to this day. finalist for Connecticut Teacher of the Year in 2001, founder of Bristol Central High School Amnesty International Chapter, founder and teacher advisor for Bristol Central High School Gay Straight Alliance Group, teacher in residence for world languages at State Department of Education, new teacher, mentor, and certified student teacher trainer, National Honor Society advisor, French and Italian National Honor Society advisor, volunteer at Bristol Central High School as teacher consultant and assistant, active member and board of directors, member of Bristol Association of Retired Teachers, member of Association of Retired Teachers of Connecticut, and our FDTC Scholarship Committee.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. I believe that's it for appointments.
Yes.
We'll move over to M. There's no old business, so we'll go to N, please.
N1, I make a motion to set the property tax rate and solid waste special service charge for the 2025-2026 fiscal year as attached in our packet here.
Second.
Motion is second. Kathy?
You're setting the property tax rate and the solid waste charge based on the approval at the referendum.
All right. Any questions for Kathy? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
N2, I make a motion to approve the transfer of uncollectible property taxes to the suspense tax book.
Second.
Motion second. Kathy?
In accordance with Section 12-165 of the Connecticut State Statute, the tax collector has recommended the 2025 suspense tax book. This book has been compiled for the purposes of identifying sums that may be uncollectible, and no way does it represent a cancellation of the tax. The tax office will continue to exercise every possible avenue to collect the unpaid tax. Those who own motor vehicles cannot register a vehicle in the state of Connecticut until the tax is paid. The total sum involved is $76,452. There's just a summary in the backup, and if anyone would like to see the entire book, just let me know.
Any questions? Yes, Brian?
Just one question. I remember last year we had talked about possibly using a service that we could sell debt to collect. Are any of these appropriate for that, or is that beyond the scope of what they would do?
Joe?
Basically, all of these have been through the service. So we basically use every legal possible means of collecting. We did the warrant, we did obviously a tax bill, we did a legal tax notice. We put lien, we did, most of these are not linkable. We turn them over to the constable or to a private collecting service. Go after yourselves. We've exhausted all of our means to be able to collect them. Some of them, in some cases, will be honest, to look at the list. We can't collect them. Some people are deceased, businesses no longer exist, so.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. I was just curious if any of them fit the mold. I didn't know. Just wanted to ask. Thank you.
Sometimes with motor vehicle, we will, a person, a lot of times people move out of town, they move back to town.
Mhm.
They try to register the vehicles and this tax will show up. And so we do it, we probably put $4,000 to $5,000 a year off of this list.
Mhm.
But that's about it.
No, just curious. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
N3, I make a motion that section 55-1 of the town ordinance be waived and that the Authentic Post and Beam of Thomaston, Connecticut be awarded the contract to repair, restore the Tinty Barn at a cost of $162,900.
Second.
Motion second. Kathy?
So if you remember, the 25-26 capital improvement budget contains funds to restore, repair the Tinty Barn. We've also been banking funds in previous years for this project. So we are going to be doing a full restoration. This is our barn person who has done previous work on it and is familiar with it. So we're asking to waive the bidding process and use the gentleman that has been doing the work on our barns.
Questions?
Kathy,
Yeah.
is this the $162,900? Is this to do all of the work, or that needs to be done in the barn, or is it a subset of what needs to be done?
It's the, what's the section? When you look at it, it is the section on the left. It's, what is it called? I'm losing my mind.
It's the Gambrel
Yeah,
section.
thank you.
Right.
That's gonna be totally restored. The other part of the barn we've done work on, and it's, restored enough that it, in my understanding, is not going to fall down, but there is going to be more work on that part of the barn too.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Good to have an architect on hand.
So I have a quick question, and the question kind of, which is fine. I think you've located where the improvement is going to happen, which is fine. So the actual cost, the 162.9, is it like, is there some specificity of what, I mean, I can read here, any frame members that are damaged or rotted, straightening the frame, replacing the roof, is it more kind of a prescriptive narrative and this person's going to work towards that? Is there something more than that identifies all these areas? I mean, I don't know.
You want to give a stab at it? He gave us a detailed list of what he was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Basically, they would strip the barn. Oh, okay.
We would strip the barn down to its frame,
Got it.
and then whatever needs to be repaired on the frame will be repaired. Any cross beams, any structural things that need to be fixed will be fixed. And then we'll put the siding back on the barn, put the windows, new doors in the barn. So it's basically, think of cutting the house down to the studs, rebuilding it back.
Got it. Okay, and then finishing it, painting, is it gonna be stained at the end, kind of similar to what the finishes are now?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the next thing would be is approving this, which again, seems like a fair number. Is it going to start, like, is there a start date that's been proposed?
The reason why I'm sorry.
A start date that's being, like, if this is approved,
Yeah, we're having a meeting, but the reason why we're doing this now is because he's ordering, and he's put it on our list, and he's trying to get it started, I think in the fall, but we're having a kickoff meeting this week to,
okay,
sign the contract and get all the details.
okay. So, but we're definitely, it sounds like the action will start in the fall.
Yes, that's my understanding.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, I've been working with him because as the woman in the audience, the barn is, as you know, is in really bad shape.
Right.
So we are trying to, I've been working with him over the winter, saying that the budget process has been going well and that we were hopeful that we were going to pass the budget and the money was in there. So he's been gearing up and we've been gearing up, and my understanding is through him, he slotted us in the schedule, even though we aren't going to have the contract until we sign
Right.
this week.
because I don't think it can go through a winter,
No,
so I think it's imperative that somehow it gets completed.
Yeah, nope,
Right.
that's why we're.
Started and
Yeah,
completed.
exactly.
Okay,
Yep.
I do have a question.
Yep.
Is the barn in the historic district?
The barn in the historic district.
I don't believe that it is.
Brian, you've got homework.
I want to confirm. I don't believe it is, but I'm just wondering, have we talked with any?
I don't
historic
think the
society?
barn, I'm 99% sure it's not, but
It's not.
I will,
I'm pretty sure it's not.
I will double check on
I
it.
just wanted to assume that I was right.
It is a historic barn and we're doing things to make it still historic, but we have to find out the process, and that when I meet with him, we'll go through.
I'm
make
just
sure
wondering if
we
they're
follow the
included in
process.
the conversation.
Their home is though, isn't it? I think that the 350-year-old home, the woman that was here before, I'm sorry. I think they have a sign on there. I could be wrong about this too, but when you drive by, one of those first couple houses has that historic district.
monument there. Yeah,
Does it?
there's like a
So
designation.
it could be the one house to the left. I could be wrong, but I mean,
But good point, we'll make
I
sure
would
of
just
that.
like to double check on that.
Yeah, absolutely, thank you, Brian.
Any other questions? All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
N4, I make a motion to cancel the May 27th, 2025 town council meeting.
Second.
Motion second. Kathy?
This is based on the fact that the May 1st budget passed.
All right, so that was this for budgetary items.
Yep.
Any questions?
I think kind of last year, I talked about canceling these meetings. I'm not a big fan. I understand why that traditionally it's been that way, but I just think there's a lot of work that we can, I mean, I could be wrong, but I just think there's a number of things that I'm sure we could, I don't like to have meetings for meeting's sake, but I think there's always things that we could probably take some of these opportunities on a meeting night like this and maybe get into things that we don't normally get a chance to do. I mean, I'd even say, like, I sit on the retirement board. There's a lot of things on the retirement board that I think should actually be a discussion with the council. You know what I mean? And I think if we don't have, I mean, you can do a report, you can do an update in a council meeting, you know what I mean? But I think to really dive into some of these things, it might be productive, even if that meeting's a workshop meeting. I just bring it up because I just think there are opportunities that I think I would hope we could capture in leverage.
Okay, we'll look into that. Also, obviously, like you said, is the budget. The second one is the budget.
Right,
For this one
right.
is all the working stuff. But again, if there's something big that does come up in retirement board that needs to be, brought forth, please tell us. We can
Right.
get it on the agenda or do something else in the
Right.
meantime in order to have those discussions.
Okay.
Any other questions?
The only thing too is we have tried to clean up the calendar of what we typically have for events, for budget, council meetings. And this one was one that we did not do because we've always held it for that, but I know your point is
Right.
we've tried to take some of the other ones off that we've never had meetings for, but I understand your
Right.
point. Yeah.
Even the projects that we do, right? Even the projects we do, you're gonna, and again, I'm not putting under a microscope anybody's work, but like, if you're gonna meet this person who's gonna do the Tinty Barn, there's gonna be a lot discussed in this next week or two when you have this conversation, and then that could be an item where we know what the start date is officially and all these kinds of things. The pickleball courts, do we have a status on the pickleball courts?
Just gave a quarterly report on it last
Right.
meeting.
Right.
And that's
So,
the start date.
yeah, so I just think those are just
Yeah.
things that, I don't, maybe they're put on there just to have a little more conversation about. That's all. That's what that's my
Brian, you said
2 cents.
Did you have something?
I just wanted to say that we do still need to change the rules of procedure so that way the town councils are permitted to cancel meetings. Arguably, if a quorum doesn't show up, there isn't a meeting, but having it in the rules of procedure would give us a little bit of support.
All right, Brian, you have something?
The only other point I was going to make was, to your point, if there was something that came up that we needed to address, we could reestablish the meeting and do a meeting if we needed to, even if we cancel it this time. Is that correct?
You would have to be
Yes.
like you said, right?
There's a procedure for which 3 members can call, I think it's 3 members, can call a special meeting.
So it could happen if we needed to.
Yeah, I think there's also, it's important to recognize, and I said this last year too, and I appreciate the spirit of what Dave's saying. Dave wants, there's nothing bad in what Dave's saying at all, but we do have 2 ad hoc committees rolling right now. Town staff's doing a lot of work there. I know that Dave is on TBZ, he's on at least 2 meetings a month working hard on TBZ, plus retirement board. Amy's got economic development, green efforts, housing authority, everybody's going to meetings. So I do think that library, so I do think, I do think that if there is smoke and somebody's worried about a potential fire, I think those are things that we can bring to Kathy and either get together via email or establish one of these special meetings if we need to. I think we're all willing when there is necessity to come together. So I appreciate the spirit. I just don't,
We'll be here if you need us.
wait by the bat phone, yeah.
All right, anybody else? All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
Oh,
passes.
opposed. I am
Sorry.
opposed.
You got that, Maureen? Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay. And 5, I make a motion to cancel the June 24th, 2025 town council meeting.
Second.
Motion second. Kathy?
So as you can see for the note, this meeting is typically for my yearly performance evaluation, and we were going to move it to the regular council meeting in June. I guess, what is the date now? June 10th. June 9th. June 9th.
So,
And I think there was some scheduling issues on the June 24th meeting.
so just to be clear, so we're still, everything that was going to happen on the 24th will still happen. We're just going to, we feel like June 10th is June 9th is likely to be a light meeting. So we have the time to put this on the 9th. Is that general
Yes.
idea?
That is it.
And we have the 10th is the high school and the 11th is the IAR promotion ceremony. It's 2 days. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I oppose.
Motion passes.
N7, make a motion to set a public hearing on June 9, 2025 at 7:05 in the Town Hall Pavilion to amend
So, I'm sorry, just so you know, what one is this one again?
N7.
No, and 6.
You gotta do N6 first.
Sorry. I wrote my note in the wrong section. So I recant. N6, to reschedule the June 10, 2025 regular town council meeting to June 9, 2025 at 7 PM in the Town Hall Pavilion.
Second.
Motion is second.
So high school graduation will be on the 10th, so we're gonna move to the 9th one day earlier.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
N7, to set a public hearing on June 9th, 2025 at 7:05 PM in the Town Hall Pavilion to amend the Farmington Town Code Chapter 111 Historic Areas for the purpose of adding 2 historic properties under the jurisdiction of the Farmington Historic District Commission.
Second.
Motion is second.
So the study, for your information, the study report details and recommends 2 properties for the inclusion in the Farmington Historic District, 1 Mountain Spring and 729 Farmington Avenue. The property owners are in agreement with this recommendation. And this is be setting the public hearing.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We have no executive session. And I will call adjournment, please.
Make a motion to adjourn the May 13th, 2025 Town Council meeting.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.